Viewer contributions make local programming possible on WNIN. Become a member of WNIN with your contribution so we can continue to make this programming available. Visit WNIN.org and click on the donate button.
If you've attended a Rotary International Convention or perhaps a district conference, one of the high points is always the arrival of the students with the flags from around the country, around the nation, around the world. It's always a moving moment. They come marching in, and there's always upbeat music, and they always get a standing ovation. They have vests on that have pins from all over the world that they've traded with other people. You know, it's just a really, really big, happy, glorious event. And that was the night the lights went out in Georgia. Okay. Okay. I say this because our speaker today is going to be talking about that and other aspects of Rotary Youth Exchange. Ron D. Dempsey, Dr. Dempsey, has spent his career in higher education with over 30 years of experience as a faculty member, an academic dean, a strategic planner, and a successful fundraiser. And that's not always easy, being a successful fundraiser, as you probably know. He currently serves as president of nearby Oakland City University, a private Christian institution. Dr. Dempsey is an ordained Baptist minister and a seasoned university professional, having held leadership positions at a half dozen other institutions of higher learning. During his career, Dr. Dempsey has held faculty appointments at numerous colleges and universities. Dr. Dempsey has been a Rotarian since 2001 and has enjoyed membership in 7 Rotary clubs in 4 states. This guy knows Rotary. He's now president of the Gibson County Club. He's been foundation chair, treasurer, vice chair, and every other position that he could possibly occupy. Ron clearly knows a lot about young people and was selected to head up the Rotary District 6580 Youth Exchange Program that features the March of Flags and much more. Today we're going to hear about much more. Please give Ron Dempsey a big Rotary welcome.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I've had the opportunity when I arrived in Indiana back in 2019 to be a member of this club for about 3 years before the district recruited me to serve on a new club startup committee for the district, and then happened to allow me to start up my own club in Gibson County. So we started that club about 2 years ago. We're into the 3rd year of it now. It's going well, not as obviously large as my experience here in Evansville, but the club is doing fine, and we're excited about that. I started off with 20, absolutely knew nothing about Rotary, so I was the only Rotarian. Finally, we're getting some folks into the idea of what it means to be a Rotarian, and we're excited about the progress we're making there. Today, I'd like to talk to you about Rotary Youth Exchange. Rotary Youth Exchange's motto is simple: build peace, one young person at a time. The exchange program's goal of fostering international understanding and goodwill by providing young people with the opportunity to experience different cultures firsthand. The Rotary Youth Exchange is a club-based program where students 15 to 18 years old travel internationally and spend a full academic year, attend local schools, and live with multiple host families. Outbound students are our American students spending their time in another country, and inbound students are international students spending their time in either the United States or Canada. The Rotary Youth Exchange program within District 6580 works with a consortium of districts from across the Midwest through what is called Central States Rotary Youth Exchange. And as you can tell from the map here, it's about 20 different districts in 8 states and also Ontario, Canada. They hold a summer conference, which I got to attend this year up in Michigan. We had over 600 attendees, which included our outbound students, our inbound students for the year, and what is called rebound students, which are students who were overseas this past year have now come back. So along with their parents and a lot of other district leaders, as well as club leaders from the 20 districts represented there. This past year, the Central States had about 80 inbound students, meaning international students, participating within the Central States districts, and 64 outbound students. District 6580 this year has only one outbound student, sponsored by the Brown County Club. Ethan Hunt is spending his year in the Philippines. So those are the things that are happening as a sense of a framework for Rotary Youth Exchange. But today I want to talk to you a little bit about the issues we're dealing with and some of the goals that I have while I serve as district chair for 6580. One is that our district, 6580, historically been on the low end of having both outbound and inbound students. I'd like to see that change. I'd like for us to be more involved with Central States, both sending and receiving inbound and outbound students. Last year, we had one outbound student and one inbound student, and unfortunately, with both of those cases, they did not complete their full academic year for whatever reason may be. One of them largely was being a little bit homesick and coming back after 3 months being over in Finland. With inbound students, the most challenging thing that we face, I think at the club level, is finding host families. Now, the one thing that Rotary encourages is that it's not just one host family for the entire year. There are some kind of exchange programs who have one family and that's what they rely on for the year. That's really difficult in our modern day. So we try to have at least 3 to 4 host families for the year for the student, and obviously they need to be within logistic areas so they can still attend the same high school and all that. But again, that is the most challenging part for inbound students. Now, we have a number of international students who would love to come and be part of the inbound program. Unfortunately, many times we just don't have enough clubs sponsoring the inbound students. But again, the host families and securing host families is the challenge that we have for inbound students. For outbound students, it's a little different. We do not have the number of outbound students wanting to travel overseas that we do have with inbound students wanting to come to the United States. And the issue is not that the outbound students don't want to go. The problem is our educational system is that high school students, it is very difficult for an American high school student in Indiana to go overseas and not, in essence, lose an entire year of their high school. Our system is very structured that you have to have a certain number of credits, a certain number of hours. And when they go overseas and attend those local high schools somewhere else, those credits don't come back. So in order to really go and be an outbound student, you have to just come to grips with the fact that you are going to miss a year of high school, that you're going to graduate later than you normally would, and you would not graduate maybe with the friends that you came in as a freshman. So that is right now our most difficult thing that we have to overcome when we talk to folks about being an outbound student within the Rotary Youth Exchange in our district. We, in the last, I think, 3 or 4 years, the majority of our outbound students have been students who have been homeschooled because they're on they're more flexible schedule. They can progress through their time in a high school in a more easier way, and therefore can use the experience they have overseas as part of their experience and preparation as they go through and finish high school at home. So that's kind of the challenges I think that we face as a district in trying to deal with and be a little more active in Rotary Youth Exchange. So some of the goals that I have for this next year and beyond is to invigorate our structures across the clubs. That's why I'm coming and speaking with you today. To tap into the homeschool network for outbound students. To investigate the possibility of short-term exchange for our more traditional high school students. And develop host family groups from across our club and help recruit those and invigorate folks who are willing to be host families for our clubs. So the goals are to visit all the clubs this year and present on Rotary Youth Exchange. So I'm doing that. I know Carrie Akins from the club is, of course, district chair, governor this year. She's doing the same thing. I'm probably not doing it as effectively as she is, but I am trying to get to all the Rotary clubs in our district. The second thing, and the point of the visits are, and Ashley, I'd like to, of course, ask you about this, is to make sure that all our clubs have what is called a youth exchange officer. Now, I know you probably, I know within Evansville we have, a committee on youth, and RILA, we mentioned that, and that's part of that, as well as, interact clubs and things like that. But this would be someone who would work with me at the district level in the structure of what is called, again, youth exchange officer. So that person looks at, what does the club need to do if it wants to have an inbound student. That is a person who would work with me on recruiting host families, getting all the details in place to have an international student come and be part of the Evansville club. So I would like, Ashley, I'd like you to think about that, and if there are folks definitely in the room who have a passion for this kind of exchange experience, I'd love you to be part of and be what is called a YEO, Youth Exchange Officer. I plan to, hopefully in about the end of October, 1st of November, have a good group of that already in place, and we're going to have monthly meetings just to talk about what are we dealing with, how do we best go about recruiting host families, again, which that is the main challenge for an inbound student. Secondly, again, I'm going to be trying to energize and connect with the homeschool network within Indiana, both at a city level, regional level, even a state level, to talk about, to put the idea of Rotary Youth Exchange in front of them in order to have more outbound students that we have. And then try to also work with the YEO on their local high schools, their local counselors in their high schools, to talk about more short-term exchanges that we have during the summer that will more accommodate, again, our more traditional high school students. So those are kind of the things that are my goals for the year, and I would love to, get your reaction and or questions that you might have. I've been a Rotarian long enough to know that you got to be short and sweet. Questions you might have, just about youth exchange in general, or inbound, outbound issues that we deal with.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you very much. So my question is, and again, kind of going along with it, the state is, has the authority to change that. But what about like virtual learning? I mean, it seems like I know kids who've graduated from high school and tested out of a whole year of college. So it almost seems like some of those kids maybe already have, I don't know how they're getting those extra credits, but they're taking them maybe in summer school, virtually. Just a thought that if somebody was really motivated to do it, they wouldn't necessarily have to lose a whole year.
Correct.
Of school.
Yeah, the ones that I have heard of that happening where a student is wanting to do the program, and the family is very motivated, like to do work in the summer and the summer afterwards, in order to, in essence, help them not miss that entire year of school and therefore graduate on time and with their class and all that. So yeah, but again, I think it depends on the family. And I think if the family's motivated to do that, yes, it can be done. So.
Yeah, Ron,
Yes.
thank you for your presentation. Sure. I was the chair of our Rotary Youth Exchange program back when we had inbound students, and I'm acutely aware how difficult it was to recruit host families. It's a big imposition, particularly if you have a weekend, you're going to go out of town. There was one student, the host family we found pretty much said, we don't do mornings. So I took the student to school every day for that like 3 months. So having some like teams or collaboration between host families to kind of, you know, basically help out whenever someone needs to be out of town or can't take a, you know,
Sure.
student to school, I think would be a big help.
And again, that is exactly as well where the club comes in too. Having worked this past year with our inbound student who was up at the Bloomington North Club, both them and the Bloomington Club worked together for that student. And yes, there was a lot of collaboration and, you know, this is happening, can someone from that club? And so, again, I keep going back to this youth exchange officer. That's important. If you have a student coming in, to have a network of people within the club or to work with another club to make sure, again, it's always, you know, the exception that you've got to deal with. And you can never predict what in the world the exception's going to be, but it's nice to have a network of folks within the club and sometimes with the host families, but mainly within the club, I have found, to help out when, yes, you're having to go out of town, you're not going to be able to take the student with you. I have to admit that the State Department has become a little, maybe since you did it, has become a little more lax on allowing the student to travel with the host family. So yeah, it used to be, you know, they really almost couldn't do that. Now it's a little easier to do than it used to be. So I think they're recognizing that they need to be a little bit more lenient too in some areas. But I do find that is the club. So recruiting host families is one thing. The expense to the club is actually fairly minimal. But then the other main element of the club needs to do is to help out, you know, to work, you know, if there's a, you know, I would always suggest that if a YEO has an inbound student that they recruit about 2 or 3 people to help them with exactly what you're talking about.
Dr. Dempsey, thank you so much for
Sure.
bringing this to light, because what a great program it is.
It is
And
that.
to kind of follow up on that, what are the requirements or expectations of a host family, accommodations, things of that nature? What's a host family look like?
Yeah, the host family, actually, believe it or not, is not a very, what you would think is a stereotypical group. The demographics vary. You have individuals who are empty nesters who are host families. You have groups who have families with small children are host families. So I couldn't say that there's a particular, you know, well, this, you know, you gotta be someone with high school students in the house in order to be a host family. You don't. The requirements, you know, that you have to have a space for the student. They do not have to be in a single room. They can be with someone else, one of the other, you know, high school kids if that family has high school children. Your biggest expense obviously is feeding and then transporting the individual around. And again, this is why we would prefer to have multiple host families, so that you're only doing it about 3 months as opposed to doing it for 9 months. So that's the important part of having multiple host families. So again, that's kind of the requirement. There is obviously extensive background checks. There are monthly visits from the YEO or from myself with the family just to get you know, how things are going, reactions of the student, how's the student adapting. But that's kind of again, and then another important role that the YEO, the Youth Exchange Officer, would have along with working with me.
When this club was involved in the youth exchange, we had a lot of volunteer people to help out. For instance, I think I took 3 different kids over 3 different years to Mammoth Cave.
There you go.
Wanted to go to Mammoth Cave. A couple of Cardinals games, things like that. So if the club kind of pitches in and gives that young person a good experience,
Yeah.
it also helps the youth family to back off a little bit in their total hands-on all the time.
Absolutely right. And again, I got to see that firsthand this past year with both the Bloomington North and Bloomington clubs working together with this one student. And there was a lot of coordination, a lot of, hey, this is, you know, we need this, or this has got to happen. Folks stepping up. We weren't even on necessarily the committee, but we're just in the club who were willing to do that.
Any other questions for Dr. Dempsey? Come to you next, Jim.
Talk to me about one of the best experiences that you have in recent memory from the Youth Exchange Program, something that was really profound, perhaps, or really kind of changed somebody.
Well, I can't say from personal experience, and unfortunately that the two that I dealt with were not good experiences, because one came home early due to homesickness, and the other, our inbound students from last year, had more issues with family that really goes beyond what you would expect home families or even a club to deal with. However, having gone to now 10 clubs who've had experiences with youth exchange, the experiences that they tell are absolutely amazing. Just the experience they had with their student. Many of them were host families. The fact that they keep up with their students, even now as adults. Those students come and visit them when they're in the States, or maybe they even live in the States now, and stay in regular contact with them. I think those experiences far outweigh any negative experience that people have. And there are negative experiences, there are, But just listening to those folks, and, then, as with most Rotary stuff, you go deeper into Rotary and you get people who really have drunk the Kool-Aid. The current president of Central States has had like 32 host students. I mean, like 2 and 3 a year. It's unbelievable. So I don't expect you to go that far, but there are people that have had that kind of experience, and even those those individuals even talking about how, yes, there have been 2 or 3 not good experiences, but the vast majority have been amazing. And just the fact that they keep up, stay up, and you develop lifelong friendships with these young people. Yes,
Hello. One of your first statements was that of the districts in Central States, we're not one of the more productive ones as far as the
Yeah.
versus the others. And I was wondering what aspects of our district makes us less productive, and are there some best practices from the other districts
Sure.
that we could take advantage of to become more of an active district or even a leader in Central States?
Yeah, I'm going to keep going back to my structure. I think there needs to be active youth exchange officers in the clubs. If there's an active youth exchange officer who kind of champions Rotary Youth Exchange, then that is the motivation to get people active. And so therefore, as I look at these other clubs who are active, who bring in 13 and 14 inbound students and send out 10 or 12, they have a structure within their district of very of passionate YEOs who believe in what Rotary is doing with this and the importance of it. So yes, that's what I would say. And that's the reason, again, why I'm motivated to get a very strong YEO structure within our district. Oh, you'll keep having questions. Wow, this is great.
Thank you. You may have said this and I missed it, but do you have to be a Rotarian? Do you have to be a member of a club to be a host family?
No, you do not. You do not have to be
Recently
a Rotarian to be
okay.
a host family. So
Thank you. That
you
might
may know
help.
people in your network who either have done this before and maybe they've taken a few years off, or who you think might be interested. And again, I wish I could point and say to you, this is the type of household that normally hosts. You don't. It's across the board. So.
I try to not do this because I don't really have a question. I just want to underscore what you said about the lifelong impact. My grandparents were really good at hosting students, not through Rotary, but through church connections and missionary connections in their church network. And Takesh from Japan, Mauricio from Colombia, they're like uncles to us.
Absolutely.
And it truly is a lifelong friendship in a way that has enriched our lives. Just getting to see what Mauricio is doing with the Caterpillar Corporation in Miami and Buenos Aires. And we wouldn't have known that if my grandparents hadn't have just been really cool hosts and really believed in this type of exchange. So I don't have the guts right now or the wherewithal to do it with my kids at home. But so I kind of feel like hypocritical saying this and then saying I'm not hosting a high schooler yet, but hopefully in the future I will. My grandparents certainly really enriched our lives through doing so, and it's very, very awesome.
Thank you. That is exactly the type of stories that I hear too. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Dempsey, for your time.
Thank you so
today.
much. We appreciate the time. I was supposed to do that.